All right,
Happy
gentlemen, here we go.
Valentine's Day, by the way.
Happy Valentine's Day. Setting up meeting. All right. And away we go. Welcome, 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 everybody. So great to see each and every one of you. Excuse me. Welcome to episode 41 of the podcast Unlimited Wisdom with Robert Hollis. As we get started, thank you so very much for hitting the like button and sharing this podcast with your friends and family. We do appreciate it. I'm Craig A. Jackman, along with Robert Hollis and Matthew Hollis. We are so glad to have you with us today. And gentlemen, happy Valentine's Day, first of all,
Happy Valentine's Day.
to everybody who's watching, because
Happy Valentine's Day.
we have someone who loves us out there, whether it's mom, dad, sister, brother, or let me say wife, husband, significant other, friend.
IRS.
Well, it could be that too. Depends on the love there.
Right. It's a
But
love-hate
yes,
relationship with them, depending on the year.
Yeah,
that's true. And depending on what they're after, or you're after, or
something.
something.
along those lines,
let's just keep it rolling right along. Episode 41 of Unlimited Wisdom, gentlemen. Great to see you and welcome, welcome, welcome.
Well, thank you, Craig. And Matt, I thought if either one of you want to jump to our YouTube channel really quickly and, see how many podcasts that we did before we switched to Unlimited Wisdom. Because if we've done over 10, we're pretty close to doing, 52 podcasts, which that a year of podcasts, that's something to celebrate.
It is.
I think, yeah. We had more than 10 for How Do You Know That?
Oh, really? I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yes.
I'll
Matt, are
tell you right
looking?
now.
Okay.
Yeah. 34.
Holy
30,
cow.
33 for How Do You Know That? And then obviously Unlimited
41
Wisdom
is
more.
including today, so that's 74. Wow, one more and we're 75.
It's so funny because I'll see some people sometimes, and it'll be like Joe Rogan or one of those guys or women, and it'll be like, oh my God, this is their 1000th episode. What are they going to do? And then they just do nothing.
Yeah.
You're just
Yeah.
like, oh, okay. To them, they're just doing it like I'm here every
Just part
Friday.
of the regular
Yeah.
routine.
You know what I mean? Whether it's 1,000 or 100 or 1,000,000, it's like
Yeah.
the number stuff is really interesting too, because it's like growing up with somebody that tells you not to count numbers.
Yeah.
Numbers don't matter as much.
Well, it's yeah. I mean, it does and it doesn't when you think about it. It's like, are you doing it now? Do you like it? Then, do you have to go back and relive the fact that you spent how many years? I mean, okay, Robert, you and I, we're in our 60s. And do we look back and say, I mean, we look back at maybe the experiences, but just because you and I are in our 60s, or Matt, even you in your 30s, we don't look back and think, oh my God, we're 30 years old, we're 60 years old. No, we feel good about what it is that we're doing, about what we do, and we look good, we feel good, and we just keep doing it.
Yeah, this is just our small step to 1 million active subscribers. So
That's
it's
the
like,
gold plaque, right?
yeah. So it's I did cross it off, you guys.
That's right. Okay, let me zoom in on that really quick, Robert. Just so
That
this
looks
is what it
pretty
is.
funny.
We've got one X on that screen,
Perfect.
and we're going to definitely try to get to the other ones. I
The
don't know what
gold.
the gold. Well, the gold will be next, but I don't know what where the diamond is, or the
Yeah, the small play button without the ruby in the center, that's 10 million, and then the one with the ruby in the center, I believe, is 100 million. Always another step. Always another step. But I have something that has really, really made a huge difference to me that I want to talk about, and I
Please.
don't mind if it dominates the podcast today.
Okay.
But Matthew playing around with AI, I mean, the guy is like cranking out stuff so fast, so quick. But he did this little one with Jesus hugging me, and I'm telling you, I've received a lot of cool things in my life, but that one had like a very deep emotional impact on me,
Yeah.
because
I'm
here's
gonna
something that we
find
talk
that and share
about.
that.
Well, yeah, we should share it. And one of the things that I think is really powerful about that, and I'll do it without getting emotional, but there's a song out there called "If I Only Imagine."
Hmm.
You know what I mean? And Team
I
Hoyt
can
has
only
used it.
imagine.
If I can only imagine. And
Hmm.
so for someone that's imagined that, and then Matt creates it, that's pretty messed up. It was like it got me it got me more than anything, Matt. So just thank you so much
Aw.
again. So what I think is amazing, and Matt's done some incredible things for me. He's done a couple of videos for me, and my wife Terry, and it's like that one got me. That one got me, and I thought, I just thought if you wanted to share that, Matt, on here so people could see it, that would be
Yes.
not only
Yeah,
cool.
I'll pull it up and
Okay.
see if I can play it here.
But I thought that Matt, if all he did was tell people to send me your best picture so I could create one for you, I think that he'd be a multi-millionaire. What I think it would be is I'll draw a cat for you today.
Hmm.
Uh-huh.
It's like, so
I don't
you
want to
go,
say too much, Robert, but let's just say that was a conversation that Matt and I were having prior to getting on here. And
really?
I'm not going to say any more because yeah,
Yeah. Because I got I
you'll
got quite
see
a
down
few,
the
I
road.
got quite a few private messages. Uh, uh, I don't care the price. I don't care the price. Just, you're going to make it full screen there?
Yeah. I think he should be full
Yeah,
screen.
I gotta change an audio thing because like you might not be able to hear the music, to be honest,
Well,
just
if
because of
necessary, I
what
can pull it
Zoom
up on
does.
YouTube.
No, I don't think you even have to hear the music. Probably be
Okay.
better.
So it's just a
Where
short 5 seconds. I tried to
All
make it
right.
10 seconds, but it kept warping. I don't know why.
Nah.
Jesus got a little too handsy, which I sent to
I
them.
can't tell
But then
whether
I was gonna say then I was too busy yesterday doing stuff to
So,
finish it, but I
so,
gotta
so, uh, I
take
only
another
have
crack
one
at it.
question for you, Matt, since you and Craig were talking about this before.
All right, there it is.
Yeah.
It just came up on the YouTube so that, I
Oh,
mean,
Yeah.
cool.
we're a little delayed, so just wanted to let everybody
Oh,
know.
cool.
So
So,
that's
so my
it
my
did come
point
up.
being, my point being is that a lot of people, when I posted it, reached out to me and said, if I send a picture to you, could you create that for me? And there was two posts that said that total strangers that said, I don't care what it cost.
Ah.
And I'm like going,
Hmm.
holy
You
cow.
guys should see, like, this is the thing, and Dad, you probably beat me up for this, but you guys should see the offers and the things that I've gotten that I just
Cool.
have said. Uh, I mean, if I needed it, luckily I'm in a very, very, very fortunate position that I can
The
take
well,
this
let's
to the
let's
next
let's
level.
talk about that for a second, because I know
Yeah.
you're doing so many things on that you're loading up that me and Craig get to see, but I'm glad that you're sharing it with the rest of the world on your I don't know if you're sharing them anywhere else, but your Twitter account, your X
Just
account.
I used to just only share them on Discord, to be honest, so no public space.
Okay.
But now I've got my X account, which is X at its variance. So
Okay. Yeah, we'll make sure to post that. So my
Yeah, I'm going to
point
work on
being
that.
is that when you did that for me, my first thought is, as I'm getting all these messages, I said, "No, wait, I'm going to talk to you on the podcast." And here's why. I can't tell you how many things, when you got your imagination on something that you want to accomplish in the future for you and your family, it is amazing how fast you get attacked with every distraction on the frickin' planet.
sure.
It's like, no religion here, organized religion here, but it's like, if there's if there's the Luke Skywalkers out there that are saying use the Force, you know what I mean? There's the Darth Vaders of the world saying use the Force, and in my life, I've been focused on something, and then it really gets whatever. Sometimes I just gone through up and downs where it's not coming as fast and as easy as I would like it to, which is basically me having unrealistic expectations. And so then all of a sudden these offers come out of nowhere that I decide to take because it looks too good to be true. And all it did is delayed me a couple of years from going back to doing exactly what I was fucking supposed to do. So, all the awful things that happened with Gonal Excel, converting into Gonal Life made me say, I'm just not doing this anymore. So that's what sort of got me into the podcasting. I mean, I'm sorry, the blogging
Personal development
and
world,
personal
stuff like that.
development, life mechanic, unlimited wisdom. And
Yeah.
and all that did was delay where I was supposed to go for 7 years. And I just ask everybody to sort of think, when you're in the flow. I said that to Matt. Matt was sending us stuff, and I'm going, he's in the flow, he's in the zone.
There hasn't been a night that I haven't stayed up late, and there hasn't been a day that I haven't woken up early, which should tell you a lot.
And so what wasn't it? What was the movie that we watched with Pixar? That was it called The Zone or The Joy or
Oh, you're talking about Soul?
Soul? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So watch that if you don't know what I'm talking about, because your lack of belief in yourself, your self-confidence, your self-belief, whether you're enough or you're worthy, those things all beat you up so you can take basically a bleacher seat to watching others perform instead of everybody watching you perform.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's all about, I mean, if you think about it, it's all about you and how you respond. I mean, yes, we interact with everybody else, but who is the ultimate person who does that? You.
Yeah.
You are responsible for what it is that you feel, you do, how you react. And it's a matter of understanding that and working with it so that you can become the better person. I mean, you share that with us all the time, Robert.
Yeah.
As well as how many other people out there. Be true to yourself.
Right. It's funny how fast time goes by. To tell you that another quick story that happened yesterday, it was, pretty personal to me as well, is a lot of people probably, if you don't, the guy's worth $300 million. His name is Dale Earnhardt Jr. His father was a 7-time world champion, a NASCAR driver, and he got killed at the Daytona 500. That's happening on Sunday. And one of the wild things is his father taught him how to run the Daytona 500. And his Dale Earnhardt Jr., I don't know how many years, but it was a lot of years, probably over 10 years, that Dale Jr. was the most famous NASCAR driver in the world. And what was unique is he would play the game small when he retired. He'd play the game small. He's won like a truck series, Craftsman Truck Series World Championship. He's won an Infinity World Championship, NASCAR Championship. And for whatever reason, he just did not feel, even though everyone in the world told him, he did not feel worthy enough to step into the big game. So it's been 15 years. And all of a sudden, him and his sister said, let's build a car for Daytona 500 and let's see if we can get in the race. And so the story I seen in the interview, he calls up Ricky Hendricks, which is one of the best car owners on the planet. And he's going, I just wanted to call you. Me and my sister are deciding that we want to build a car and do everything that my father has taught me. And we're going to enter a car in the Daytona 500. And he goes, I just don't have a clue why it's taken this long. And he just turned 50. And so all of a sudden it's like, wow. So he takes a kid that won the world championship for the Infinity Series, and he reaches out to this kid and said, hey, listen, this will be your NASCAR debut. The big boy in the car. Mm-hmm. And so it was funny for everybody to watch Dale Jr. get his number 8 car after 15 years in a NASCAR Daytona 500 when he won with that number before, after his dad died. And so it was crazy. Everybody was just watching that damn car out on the track, just going, man, this is crazy. And for him to qualify his driver, but now as an owner to get a car in the Daytona 500, there wasn't a person that wasn't emotional, just going, why did it take this long? And again, it's just Dale Jr. He's so humble. He was just going, man, he said, there was one reason why I should do it, but there was millions and millions of reasons why I shouldn't. He goes, man, I have easily in the last 15 years have come up with easily over 1 million excuses of why I shouldn't make this leap. But he said it was only one. And he said, so when I started reaching out to people saying I was doing it, he said, it's like millions of people came out of the woodwork going, we're behind you. What do you need? We'll get you whatever you want. And he says, I didn't need money or resources. I had them. I've always had them. But my resources went up tenfold as soon as I made a decision to do it. So as soon as I said, this is what I'm going to do, he said, my phone blew up. I got all these messages and people are like, holy cow, welcome back to NASCAR Big League. And you're definitely going to be a champion. So it was funny, right after they qualified to get in a race, a group of 40 people that got in a race. It was really, really interesting to see how emotional he was. And he was just going, people thought one thought, he said, and I want to put this to rest, that people thought I didn't want to do the Daytona 500 because my father died in this race on this property in corner 4, the last lap of the race. And that used to be true. But now because of that is why I'm here. You have the ability that when the rest of the world says, I understand why you're not doing that, that should be the reason that you do it. And he goes, so who would want to relive that trauma? No, who would want to honor their father? Who would want to honor the person that put them in a situation? Who would want to honor the person that actually showed me how to win this race multiple times? And he goes, all it took for me is to tell myself a different story. It's the same situation. It's just
different perspective.
Different perspective. Yeah.
Which is huge. Yeah, it's everything.
Oh,
well, thank you for sharing that. Because I've had many situations in my life, especially lately, that are like that, where you realize that it's not necessarily the situation that's the issue, but the perspective that you have on it that's the problem.
At that moment.
And if you take the time to sit down and process it, it makes it a lot easier. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because then you can generate your own perspective. Because in a lot of ways, our perspectives are knee jerk, like Craig, you were just saying. It's like the instantaneous response that we give is more programming, and it takes a lot of reflection to get our own perspective on things. And it's interesting because a lot of people, I'm sure, had the perspective and totally understood where he was coming from with what you just shared. You know what I mean? And then there's a lot of people that
it's not only do you get to make up the excuses, but how good are you at your excuses for not doing what you were put on this planet to do, then have literally millions of people back you up.
Especially at that point when you finally make the decision.
If you had millions of people that went, Come on, get over yourself. That's stupid. That shouldn't bother you anymore. And he said that there was people that reached out to him, and even said, seeing that number on that car and the Daytona 500, qualifying for the Daytona 500, there was people that reached out to him and said, I'm just too emotional to even participate in this right now, because it brings him back to the dark side, not the good side. So imagine, even when you make that decision, you got a certain group of people that still love you, still want the best for you. But that's where you always hear this. It's like, man, I'm just telling you, I'm your father. I love you. And I just don't want to see you put all your effort into something that could possibly fail. You know what I mean?
Don't
And
put
it's
your
like,
eggs into one basket.
yeah, and all these
Maybe get a
little
degree.
cliches, all these little cliche sayings that I've never said to Matt.
No, that's
everybody
honestly like
pigeonholes. I was going to say, everybody pigeonholes people into certain boxes.
Oh,
They
yeah.
put you in this box. They put you in that box. Your father was a lawyer. Why can't you be a lawyer? Well, I don't want to be a lawyer.
I just want to paint, Dad.
Exactly. How many times have we seen that? I mean, not just in our lives, but in the movies, which hopefully they're reflecting something in that regard. But
I mean, they're reflecting us. So
they're reflecting us, right? Because obviously we are writing them. But the point is just because you were put into this box based on family, culture, where you live, things like that, doesn't necessarily mean that that's exactly what you want or where you want to be, because you are you. You are the influence of all of the things that have come together up to that point in time where you are right now. Again, I know I say it a lot, but it's the A plus B plus C equals D equals you, because you are the sum of everything that you have experienced up to this point in life.
Well, Matt, I just wanted to tell you that I'm proud of you, because it looks to me like again, like soul, that you're in the zone, that you're in the groove, that you're in
do you
the
guys
flow.
feel now that I'm able to also be like, hey, I'm going to be a father soon. But do you guys feel like we're all in the plane ready for takeoff at this point? Do you feel
Oh
that?
yeah.
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 Because
Yeah.
I'm like behind the controls and I know exactly where we're going. And like
What's it feel to have
it's a
that kind of
very
confidence?
different. The confidence comes from a place of just personal belief. I've seen a lot of things happen. I just personally believe that I know where it's going, and like
Yeah.
I'm taking as many people with me as I can, because I think like this
Yeah.
is going to be the big equalizing event for
Yeah.
a lot of
I
people.
just a lot of people say that their podcast exploded, or their YouTube channel exploded, or one of their their social media exploded
Hmm.
because of one viral video.
Yeah.
And when that happens, now we got the super sauce where everyone's like going, okay, okay, doing it once, you know, doing the special sauce and the timing and the right feeling uh, to happen again, do it again. And that's when you start getting, Mr. Beast numbers. You know what I mean? Is you really know the formula, like knocking out hit songs. I forget the guy. I think his name, isn't it Newman or something like that, or it's probably not. But the guy that writes like every nice little pick
Randy
story
Newman.
song. What is it?
Randy
Randy
Newman.
Newman.
Yeah,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
it's like,
You got a friend in
I
me.
love LA. That's
yeah, you
his
got a
song,
friend in
as
me.
well
It's
as
like,
other things. But
yeah. And so, when you hear someone like that, and their ability is, yeah, I'll write a jingle for this. And it's like everyone's singing.
I know.
well, you
You
look at
just-
any
But you
of the
don't realize that you're
successful
doing that at the
people.
time.
Right.
Any of the
You're just
successful
being
people.
creative.
I mean, if you're talking about like the music, John Williams, the guy that
But Hans Zimmer.
Hans Zimmer. But no, I'm trying to think of the guy that did the music, has done the music for Tim Burton, uh,
Oh
Devo.
yeah.
Uh, uh, the name
All I know is he looks Danny Elfman.
Danny Elfman.
Yeah. So, when you find the secret sauce, and I thought it was funny. There was something that I watched just recently, and I forget the interview and even the people in it, but it was this female, and I know what it was. It was
By the way, Danny Elfman was Oingo Boingo. Sorry.
Oh,
The-
but
Oh,
but
okay.
I was watching this lady that you seen this kid that goes around. He's got a lot of followers as well, but he walks up to people and asks them, how did you make your money?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I stumbled into him on X now, and it's
Hmm.
funny. So I watched him, and he was talking to this lady. And he goes, do you mind if I ask how old you are? And she says, not at all. She says, I'm 47. And he goes, where'd you make your money? And she said the name of the company. And she said she just sold it. And her interest alone in stock was over 90 million. And he's going, so what are you doing now? She said the same thing. She says, I'll just build another company the same size, if not bigger. And then if I decide to exit out of that and sell it as well. And he goes, what is the best book? She goes, I do it on my birthday every year. And when I start reading it, I'm not allowed to do anything until I finish the book. And she says, and that's How to Win Friends and Influence People. And she goes, that book is made me almost $1 billion. And she says, I'm done. And I'm just like, she says, how often do you really need to be reminded that the person that you're communicating with feels good in the conversation?
Oh gosh.
Yeah, especially nowadays,
How
people
many
are
times do
so.
you say that, Robert?
Oh, I know.
Mhm.
I mean, it's all about
People
the other
don't remember. People don't remember what you said or what you taught. They just remember how you made them feel. And
Bingo.
Right.
so it's pretty interesting when, like, we're doing full circle now. I wanted Matt to talk a little more about, where his head is and stuff. But, you know, the question that I had, Matt, that I wanted to ask you is
Sure.
what made you think about doing that for me?
Um, well, I mean, the thing is that there's a lot of artificial intelligence systems that people train on certain things to get an output that you want. And when you see certain things that you know would impact people or would affect them, then it's like, okay, someone's already taken the time to put this together. I just have to utilize it and prompt it in the right way to get what I want, right? So it came from that space. It also came from, I've had conversations with Junior, and that was another one of the people that I thought about. But like, I think in a lot of ways, I think you and his spiritual connections and stuff, obviously I can't resonate with it the same way, but your guys' spiritual connections with Christianity and with Jesus are pretty deep.
Yeah.
So like because that's the case, I knew as well that like it would be important um, to you to have that. And I mean, it's interesting because even the response to it, it's like you can see the importance in other people's eyes. Like they're like, I
Yeah.
exactly like what you said. I did not realize that it would have that. Like I just was throwing something together to send to you. I
Well,
really
how many
wasn't
times have you reached out to me? Because I want you to,
like I've made you a cowboy. I've done a bunch of shit, but I've never.
yeah. I mean, how many times have you
Put him in a
personally
race
asked
car.
me?
Right.
How many times have you personally asked me, Dad, give me a situation where I can put you in?
Hmm.
Because that would come from imagination,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
And it's weird when you ask someone that question, it was like, nah, blank. You know what I mean? Because if there's anything that I really, really value more than anything, it's a picture with me and my family. See,
Hmm.
that that gets me more than anything. So, Matt's put me on a plane, Matt's put me on a boat, Matt's put me on a yacht, Matt's put me
Yeah.
and so
Yeah, I'd have to train it on all of my family members, and
so
some of them are
I
not exactly okay with that just yet. We
yeah,
gotta wait.
yeah. So that's what's so crazy about that. I just wanted you to know that whatever source that you believe in, that you tapped in to do that,
Hmm.
is because my imagination would have never thought of that.
No,
Even
and
even
like I
though there's
said,
thoughts like that in my imagination.
yeah, I'm working on a couple of things that are larger in scale. One I'm working for that will come out for Akashics that I think a lot of you guys will really, really love.
Oh, no
And
doubt,
then
no doubt.
not another tutorial video or something like that, something that actually will pull people's attention and get them interested in it. And
Tutorial
then I
video,
mean,
you know what? Tutorial videos are for people that haven't figured out yet that they're not important.
like I'm making that's funny. I'm making basically an Apple commercial for Akashics and Tap to Trade. Like
Ah,
something
nice.
that's
Oh,
heartfelt
sweet.
and comes from a place of someone that's stuck in life that finds a solution, and the solution is something that nobody can take away from him
Right,
in
right,
trading, and that's such a big
right.
thing, especially for young people. So that's where that short resonates. It'll be less than 60 seconds, you guys, which means it can be as short. You can send it to people, you do whatever. But I'm in the process of moving, so hopefully that will be out soon. But
Cool.
I'm working on two short films that I've written, and then I'm working on a third one with Craig, right?
Wait,
Also,
are you guys
Yeah.
you guys are gonna keep that quiet for now?
For
no,
now, I
I'm
think.
it's funny because Craig's like probably maybe like for now, but I'm like
Well,
I'm
okay, no.
such
I mean, we're working together
here's
on
how
this,
I
and
work,
I
you
didn't know
guys.
how much you wanted to share, Matt. And I
I'd
was thinking,
share
like,
everything but the story and the outcome.
all right, that's cool. I'm cool with that because
If you're cool with
it's
that.
it's exciting.
Yeah.
Matt and I were chatting before Robert you came on before the
Yeah, we
pre-show,
got on
and
like
then
an hour earlier.
yeah, and we were talking about what it is that we were thinking of doing, and we kind of part of it is what Matt helped create for me using AI.
Got it.
And now and plus the fact that I came out with my reel, my acting reel
Hmm.
recently. So a lot of it has to do with that kind of stuff, but taking out the combination of our talents and putting them together. And
Nice.
Matt, if you want to go further than that, go for it. But
No, yeah.
just getting excited, like, okay, you show your chills. Okay, fine, I got a long sleeve shirt on. But let's just say that, as Matt and I were talking, from my perspective, it was as if, oh yes, oh gosh, yes, I could see
Yeah.
this, I could visualize this.
To see just I now probably in the only time in my life have really understood from a storytelling side what a person like a Steven Spielberg, sees in the edited version of what he created, that he goes, man, this was in my fucking thoughts. This is the only place this existed, in my thoughts. And
Yeah.
to make that imagination on in a visual that people could see, and then of course the ultimate income, our ultimate result, would see the feelings that it invoked it in other people.
Oh yeah,
And because behind that would come the box office. And there's not a more clear example that I could say to somebody of people that have, you do the thing that you gives you the most joy, you get into it and you create it, and then the feelings that you see other people get from it and how they talk about it turns into money, turns into fame, turns into fortune, turns into awards,
Hmm.
because those kind of feelings or imagination doesn't look that way. People think that, I got to have the money and I got to have the people to pull it off first. It always happens the opposite direction.
yeah.
And
Look,
that's
listen to
why
the strangest
people,
secret,
yeah,
because
it
it
totally
Yeah.
talks
is.
about that.
It is totally it, without a doubt. It's funny, always around my birthday, I reread the greatest miracle in the world. And so it was pretty wild that I always start out by reading chapter 9, and it just grounds you so frickin'
Oh
hard,
gosh, yeah.
that, hey, it's easy to win in the world. No one else is going the extra mile. 99.9% of the fucking people are pay me first and treat me good first, and then I'll give you the result. So all you got to do is be grateful, have imagination, and then actually push toward the goal of doing more than what the average fucking person does. And so people like go, I don't know how that person does that. All that person's doing is doing what they love that gives them joy, and they're just doing it as much as they can on a daily basis with the limited time that they have. They're just
Boom.
they're just busting it out. Because just like YouTube, it was a couple of years ago when we made the decision to get that plaque, and now I'm doing the same thing with X, and it comes so natural to me. It just really does. It's like, okay,
I
if
feel
I
like
want,
X is even more natural, probably, because you love messaging and replying and commenting.
I
That
had
doesn't really
no
exist on YouTube.
idea. Listen, I had no freaking idea how X is different than every social media, that I get to respond to somebody. The response they give me is something that I'm notified on, that I get to see immediately, respond to. And then when I follow someone and they follow me and I go back to make a comment, it says right underneath their name, following you.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going like, so now, just like I've taught before, first step would be, you got to really get down to what the hell is worth talking about. I'm not building a social media to be a pretend person. I've never done that. So I'm following people, and then I
It's
didn't realize.
exhausting, I was
Yeah,
gonna
I
say.
didn't. I didn't realize, being fake. Yeah. So I didn't realize that every channel that I started following, I was blown away with how many people they followed. So it doesn't make a difference who you wanted to follow, whether it was someone extremely famous or anything, but you go on there and you go, whoa, they got like 13,000 people they're following. It's not like certain individuals that you go there and they're following one person. That's interesting,
Mm-hmm.
isn't it? It should tell you the give and take of an individual because that used to be something that's a big deal on like Facebook. If you have someone
Instagram,
that had a
huge on
million,
Instagram.
or Instagram, if you have someone that's got millions of followers and they follow nobody, but X is the opposite. It's like the person that's following the most people are the people that are the most interactive.
Yeah,
It,
if you
it,
don't follow people on X, you're just gonna get like your feed is just gonna be full of ads and like random stuff. Like the whole goal of X, from my understanding, is to follow people and connect with people. One of the things that I do really love about the platform now that I've re-engaged with it is the ability to have a thought similarly to the Jesus thing with you. Have a creative thought as I'm working. I could be working on something for us. I could be working on something for myself, but have a creative thought, throw it together, and then just boom, upload it. Just
yeah,
that for me, because one of the biggest aspects of my life, guys, that I've dealt with is not being open about what I'm creating artistically, all of these things like that. And I'm so naturally that kind of person to like
right,
share with people, but I haven't really put myself in a position to really do that because I always want to do it in a professional way, mentally or whatever, right?
right.
Slowly starting to let that go. But it's like, okay, you could sit down in front of the camera and talk about this for 10 minutes and then upload it. You don't have to have all these fancy graphics, fancy editing,
Right.
all this stuff.
Yeah.
Just get it
Yeah,
out, get the
exactly.
thought out. And I think that's where X really, really helped me get away
Yeah,
from that because I'm used
I
to
look at
consuming
X I look at
YouTube,
X as exactly the way I look at TV or the internet. Okay? There are things on the internet and there are things on TV that I don't get anything out of. In fact, it doesn't make me feel good to interact with certain stuff. And so I've said this my whole life, and now I'm figuring this out more on X than anything. If I'm constantly building a group of people that are positive, they want to make change, they want to make a difference, their opinions stand for something. Because I'll give you a funny thing that I heard. I was telling Mom and Kyle this morning. This is the best analogy that I've ever heard about what's going on in our world. Okay. So I'll set up the story. Okay. Here's the best example. So you have two people that are in a relationship. All right. And one of those people happened to get a hold of the other person's cell phone. They start searching through the cell phone and they find things that really fucking upset them. Just let your mind go in whatever direction. So this person gets a hold of a person that they feel like they're committed to, and they're looking at their conversations, their chat, their DMs, their everything, and they become very, very upset at that person. And then that person does this. Well, I can't fucking trust you anymore because you're fucking looking on my phone.
Mm-hmm.
How did this become my fault? You shouldn't be looking on my phone. You should trust me. If you wouldn't have looked in my phone, you wouldn't be mad at me. What the fuck? This is the first time I really understand. I've never heard of this phrase called, oh shit, lamp posting, or what is it called?
Gaslighting?
Gaslighting. The reason I thought a lamp post is because of the...
It's similar.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's San Diego. It's San Diego. They got a...
Oh, the gas lamp district.
Gas lamp district, okay. But everyone would say, stop gaslighting me. And my mind would go, I don't even fucking understand what that is. Now I get it.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like, so what I see going on in the world right now is, regardless of what's going on, when someone brings up something that someone's doing wrong, the wrong person gets the fucking blame for it. When did this become our automatic? For a lot of people, that's their automatic thing. And I'll even take it back so people don't misunderstand what I'm saying. It used to be, before the Me Too, that if someone was sexually assaulted, everyone threw the person that was the victim under the fucking bus.
Well, yeah, I mean, remember...
Wait a minute. So I see people do this where it's like, listen, he sexually abused me. He raped me. And he beat me up. Well, why did you go to his hotel room?
Yeah, dumb. Not her. But you know what I mean?
It's like, you hear it and you just go, how'd you fucking go there? I don't even know how you go there. But the reason that I think there's so lack of communication in the world right now is because of that. You know, this is where I say the statements as you put on, you know, I seen someone do this today. It's Josh and Jenna's anniversary.
Oh, on Valentine's Day?
Yeah. And what a good day to do it, right? Mm-hmm. And so soon as she posts happy anniversary to me and Josh, someone puts under there, me and my husband been married for 37 years. Why is this about you? Like, you have to fucking hijack somebody else's post to make this about you? And guess what's happening today? How dare you wish me happy Valentine's Day? I don't have anybody. Oh, because it's a day for people that do, stupid motherfucker. You see what I mean? It's like you have to make it about you because somebody else is enjoying something. Wow. It's like everyone's feelings are hurt because people are doing things that doesn't represent them. And it's like I'm going like, wow. When everyone in the world was put here to beat up on you, man, I'm glad I was never that person.
You know, sometimes I think, like, as I've gotten older, sometimes I think that, because, you know, I've been more interested in David Lynch and meditation in general lately, but I don't think it's the desire in any way for the world to be easy, nor did anyone promise you that it would be. I think that when it comes down to it, what grows you as a person is the strength and resistance to those things, the
Amen.
perseverance of everybody telling you it's not going to happen, but then you do it anyway.
Yeah.
That aspect is also, you know, it's interesting because people do this in hindsight, greatly admired by like pretty much all of humanity. So like when you have everybody going, you can't do it, ain't gonna happen, never gonna happen, you suck, all these things, right? And then you pull it off, and then in hindsight, they take all that stuff back and go, I always knew you were capable of it, all these things, right? Might as well just forget that they even exist, because
Yeah.
regardless of if it's good or bad, doesn't matter to you anyway.
Yeah.
Your goal is to
Oh,
persevere, and you weren't promised the easiest ride in existence. You were, if anything, the world has brought about a lot of resistance to you,
Lot.
mentally and
Yeah.
physically, right?
My
So
my Roger
acknowledge it and
Penske.
move past it.
Thank you,
Don't
Matt.
let it be a wall in front of you.
Thank you, Matt.
But
Yeah, Roger Penske, my very first mentor, he was the very first person to tell me, no one else has told me this, is he said, I'll let you understand something if you don't already know it. Because he somehow found out about my childhood. And maybe I told somebody and someone said it to him, but I would never tell him. And he's going, the day that you realize that the world's not fair, nothing in this world is fair. Just know that everything that happened to you is not fair. You know what your job is to make it worth it.
good or bad.
Yeah. He goes, just make your moments worth it. Just
Yeah,
keep stacking moment after moment after moment after moment after moment. Just move from, and that's where, you hear going from victory to victory to victory to victory to victory. That's one of the things that our whole goal was always to beat our previous times. Our goal was always to have highest qualifying that we could have for all three cars. Everything was like a constant step to a step to a step to a step. So he celebrated whatever we did, which was really amazing, because a lot of people that hear people like, Roger Penske and Ricky Hendricks and some of the best guys out there, the best coaches in the world, is Joe Gibbs. A lot of people don't realize that Joe Gibbs won multiple Super Bowls with the Redskins and then walked away that and got into NASCAR, and now he's got multiple championships in NASCAR. It's like
well,
there's something that
mentality is like
there's
huge.
something about
Yeah.
like you said, the mentality,
Hmm.
and so it's just brilliant. I think it's very, very brilliant that someone has the mindset that, listen, we're going to play. We're going to play a day at a time, a moment at a moment, and how fast you can forget the moments that didn't get to your expectations. How fast that you can just go, okay, that was part of learning. I'm moving on. As part of learning, I'm moving on. As a part of learning, I'm moving on. I'm getting better and better every day in every way. I'm just keep getting gooder and gooder and gooder and
Yeah.
gooder.
The internet has
And
like fucked up people's expectations quite a bit with what they're capable of.
yeah,
Like, I think a lot of people now more than ever can just get on Instagram and see somebody lift a bunch of weight like it's nothing and go, okay, I want to be that person, but not know that the amount of things that you have to do to accomplish those things, and that
or what
person's
they've gone
driven.
through to get to that point.
Yeah, what happened in their lives that pushed them to be motivated to be that person. There's so many elements that make somebody who they are. And I think um, in my own personal time of reflection and meditation and stuff, I'm realizing how personal that is.
it
That
is.
there's that it's not really my goal to observe other people with like envy and like try to go after what they've accomplished, but to try to find the elements that in their lives that I love and enjoy and want for myself, and then try to
Yeah.
replicate the good of those in my own life. Instead of trying to be them, I'm trying to imitate the best of what I see in them
Yeah.
to
And,
my
Well,
own
and
you
ability.
share that all
the,
the time, Robert, with people
yeah.
saying, okay, here is what I've done. And if you want to get close to the success that you've achieved, follow what I do and
Yeah.
don't change it. Now, obviously you get to a point, and you've even brought this up many times. You get to a point where, okay, I think I've done everything to the letter, but it doesn't seem to be working. Are you trying to imitate Robert? Or are you trying to take what Robert has done and then translate it so that it's you?
Right.
Because there cannot be another Robert Hollis. There cannot be another Matt Hollis, but there can be you that is built everything around what you, Robert, have done up to this point in time.
Yeah. Like
Yeah,
I know for a
yeah.
fact, I know for a fact that all the podcasts that we said that we've done, all of them have equated to this plaque.
Hmm. I'm
Right.
gonna go to the
All
restroom
of
real
them.
quick. Be right back 1 second. But
Okay.
continue, guys.
Yeah. But all of those, everything, every podcast got us closer to what we're doing now, and continues to get that way. And so what people do is, I can't even remember the last time we did a podcast, and I went back to see how many people viewed it. It's
We
like,
move forward. But see, that's exactly it. We do talk about the fact that, okay, we said this earlier in another podcast, or we refer
right.
back to it. But then each podcast is so different
Yeah.
that with what we do,
Well, because the time that we do it's different. There's
right.
different things happening. There's different, things that are in our minds, and I'm really excited, Craig, for you and Matt doing something together. I just know that it's going to
Oh,
turn out
I
great.
mean, like I said earlier, it gets chills down my spine. But okay, continuing the conversation and the track of conversation, did we know about this in last week's podcast? Did we know about this in the previous week's podcast to that? Did we know about this when we started doing How Do You Know That
Right.
almost more than a year ago? No. We had to go through the process of coming to where we are right now, and the ideas would come out and we would learn from each other. That's the one thing that I love about what we do with this podcast and everything that we've been doing up to even this point in time is we learn from each other. We listen
Right.
to each other. We value what each other is saying. Maybe our idea is a little different, but that because of that difference, it doesn't mean that it's wrong. It just means that we have a different perspective.
Yeah.
And if we can take those perspectives and then come together and bring it into something that is beneficial, not just for the individual, but for all of us,
Yeah.
oh my God. And that's what I loved about what Matt and I are kind of working on is he has his way of doing things. I have my way of doing things. We both have a perspective of doing something creative coming up. And there is actually a goal that is kind of, there is a slight deadline that is ahead of us to start working on this.
Very
And
cool.
so and I'm going to let Matt explain it a little bit more because I know he wanted to share it earlier. But the idea that we could come together and take our creative talents, or any individual take their creative talents, come together and build on that to create something new and different. Uh, yeah. I mean, how exciting is that? And you feel it. That's the beauty of it. You feel it inside. And it's that, oh, yeah, I like this.
Yeah,
This is
like
cool.
seeing like someone showing you a smartphone or the app store for the first time, or being like, here's the internet and how it's gonna work. There's an immediate feeling to the disruption power of what you're utilizing, that and the immediacy of wanting to learn it and explore it. At least for me,
Me
just
too.
because, yeah, just because it's like I am an early adopter. I get that from you, Dad. But I also am a huge fan of first mover advantage.
Yeah.
I, me and my dad both, ever since I was young, it's like, okay, websites are the next thing. Let's do that. Then after that, it's like live streaming is the next thing. We need to start doing live streams. YouTube and videos the next thing. We need to be posting more of that. So it's like you have to constantly see the next thing over the horizon and kind of guess and bet. Kind of like
Yeah.
Jensen was talking about, right? It's like if you looked back at NVIDIA 10 years ago and you saw all this investment in CUDA cores and programming languages that would allow artificial intelligence to communicate with the chips.
Right.
If you looked at that 10 years ago, you're like, that's great for developers, but and maybe even they didn't even know enough at the time.
Right.
The thought that they were writing something that would allow artificial intelligence to communicate with it and utilize it better than anything. It's like that was not a perspective that they bet on. They weren't betting on that necessarily, but it worked out, and that's where I feel. I don't know what this technology will become for me long term. I know what I want to do with it, but I also am fully aware that as a first mover advantage in the position that I'm in right now, puts me in a position of maybe like 100. You know what I mean? And that's not something to play around with, and I'll take that lightly. Like I take that as my destiny.
Yeah, Matt, I've always felt this about myself. I do not need to be the best. I need to be my best.
Bingo.
That's the truth.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
that's true with anything.
If I'm emulating the people in the top 5%, believe it or not, I've not always been there. It was the top 10%. But it was easy for me to understand, even when I was young, that if I was hanging around people that were winning races, I would pick shit up. Mm-hmm. It's like you become who you hang around 101. And so, when I graduate from college or trade school, then my very first thought is, okay, now I got to hang around people that know more than people in Montana, North Dakota, South Dakota, and Wyoming. I'm not saying
it's like if you wanted to compete in a sport, right?
I'm not saying anything negative, but there are states and communities that race all year round because of the weather, right? Sure. And believe it or not, that's not Florida. It's hard to race in the rain. It's California for real. And so it was neat to go out there and start hanging around individuals that are known as the best in the world. And everyone in their mind would always say, yeah, but I don't deserve, or I'm not enough, or I'm not worthy to be around those people. That's where everybody thought. It's the people that were willing to show up just to be a part of whatever. And that's what the apprenticeship thing's all about. It's like, listen, are you really willing? See, the deal is are you willing to do the grunt work, the cleaning of the parts, the sweeping of the floor, the getting there early, being the last person there? It's like it's neat when you ask people, because Matt probably knows this why I've always said this, is people always ask me, how many people do you connect with? How many people do you reach out to achieve your goals? You know what I mean? To achieve my imagination. That would be no difference than people right now asking Matt, how many hours do you think that you've logged in on your computer? How many hours do you... And so when someone looks at you, and then you go, well, okay, I do understand that from the time that a person got a personal computer that Matt was in front of it. Okay, let's not talk about that. How many hours do you think that you've been on your computer like in the last week? And when someone doesn't even know that number,
definitely don't.
Now you're talking to someone that the things that you're thinking about stopping you from doing what you need to do is your fucking problem. Right there is when you ask people, what is the cost? What is the cost?
Well, and that's the thought that comes in your mind. It's probably not it. You know what I mean? Like if you're taking a hesitancy and thinking to yourself, and I'm going to be honest with you guys, that happened to me for years.
Yeah.
Like
I think
up
it's happened to
until
everybody.
yeah, up until this moment, it was always the situation of, okay, if I extend myself in this area and learn more, will it be worth my time, energy, and effort? And when I finally found something that I've always wanted to do but was there, and now that opportunity exists, it's interesting how effortless it is. Like when you
Yeah.
asked that question, I immediately opened up. I'm not going to know this number off the top of my head, but certain model generators like Sora and things allow you to see how many videos you generated in a day. And I guarantee you just yesterday is over 200.
Oh,
So
you were on fire
when
yesterday.
you
Yeah.
ask when you ask yourself and you go, man, like imagine sitting there and then waiting 5 minutes and then it comes out. It's not what you want. And you reprompt and change it and like keep going and going and going. You have to have a desire at some point to
Yeah.
go past the monotony, right, Dad? Like
Well,
You
of
know
but
what,
just
all,
Robert, I used to say
but
when I
yeah,
was with Gano XL
right.
and Gano Life, because I put in a lot of hours with that company. And it was because I used to tell people, I'm not here because I have to be here. I'm here because I want to be
yeah,
here. And that is
It's a
exactly
different
what
feeling.
Matt is referring to and you are referring to is you want to do it. You have that passion, you have that desire, and it's going to take whatever it takes to get you to that end result that, people, are you willing to put up with that? Are you willing to do that? Are you willing to go the extra mile
yeah,
as is part of the God memorandum in the greatest miracle in the world? Are
yeah.
you
It's
willing to
the
do that?
it's the one change of phrase of wow. Do you know what I get to do? When your
Exactly.
total mind like mine is right now, that I just feel like the world is shifting. Um, I just feel like the world right now when I hear the stuff that happened recently in Argentina, that you do find a servant, and you do find someone that wants the best for his people and his country, and he steps in and he gets the mandate of his people, and the next thing you know, they go from a deficit to a surplus, and all the things that people have always wanted start getting. It's like all of a sudden you sit there and go, wow. Because what are we told? We're always told that, the way that things are set up in life, that not just one person can change everything. That's limiting thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the truth of the
It's
matter
like,
is too is it's like the truth of the matter is a lot of people fight change, but there's also like actively a lot of people that can't wait for it.
right.
There's a large amount of young people right now, younger than me, that can't wait for artificial intelligence to show up and kind
Yeah.
of destabilize the economy,
Yeah.
destabilize everything. So then we can kind of have a fresh start because it feels like um, the younger people really
Well,
aren't winning at
like I
anything.
told
So
you, guys, I felt that way about the internet.
winning at lower life expectancy.
I I felt that when I seen the internet, the only thing that I could imagine is the amount of people that I'm going to be able to connect with the right mindset and the right attitude. And I imagined it the day that I heard about it, the first time that I logged onto the internet. I am going to be able to connect with people all over the world and help people get excited after I teach them how to imagine a better future for them in their life. And when I get them to imagine again, to share something with you guys that I sort of went through this week, is in rereading the God Memorandum and the greatest miracle in the world. There's a really large part of it that basically goes to this statement. I'm going to talk about it tomorrow on the Ask Me
Oh,
Anything.
cool.
It's
Oh,
like
great.
it's like, tell me, why did you forget? Why did you forget that you were special? Why did you forget your superpowers of imagination? When did you forget it? And then I love how the book does it, because it's like on a spiritual level, because it says, so when you realize that you forgot how special, how unique, how powerful you are, how much you have the imagination to create whatever you wanted. When you stopped doing that stuff and you forgot it, you needed someone to blame, and you blame me. You blame me because it was easy. But you used to be optimistic. You used to have an imagination. You used to be excited about life. You used to have all of this stuff at your fingertips. And why'd you let someone steal it? And it's like, because
And
that's
what do
what
they give you in
happened.
return for that?
Yeah, that's what happened is
Yeah.
you without engaging in it, you allowed other people to steal your fortune, to steal your happiness, to steal your worth, to
And you only
steal
get one
your
life,
value.
too. Yeah.
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 So the things that you allowed in, that you listened to, that you believed, just stole your imagination. And the phrase that I will use tomorrow is, we've heard this phrase, if you don't use it, you lose it. Okay.
Yeah.
So the way that I would try to interact with people when I was a mechanic was by telling jokes. I'd always be around my family members, and they would go, um, Robert, do you got that Roy D. Mercer CD? I do. And there was this thing where I just remembered jokes and would tell jokes, and people knew that I remembered jokes. That was my way of fitting in before I got involved in this industry. And then my goal of making people laugh, why not just turn that into a goal of them having hope? Just what if things are not like I think they are? There's phrase out there that's pretty bad, and it's like the definition of a paycheck is someone that's willing to pay you to give up on your imagination. So a pay
Repeat that,
okay.
please.
So the definition of a paycheck is the fee that they pay you to give up on your imagination. I need you. I need you to be a cog in my fucking wheel because I have imagination. So I'm going to give you a paycheck, and I need you to give up your imagination to allow mine to happen.
Yeah, I mean, at some point it moved into like ownership, and it even is tied to health insurance in
Great.
the United States, which is crazy to me.
I'm sorry, Matt. Say that again.
Well, I was just gonna say the hamster wheel is developed on purpose, and even the health insurance system in the United States is built to put chains on you and keep you at your job, and not to really think about bouncing out of it. Right now me and Hannah are going through having our first kid, right? And so health insurance for young people is incredibly expensive, and you get almost nothing out of it. And yet, if we don't have health insurance, we're gonna have to pay $30,000+ to have our kid in the hospital in the United States. Now, a bunch of you guys are probably thinking, what the hell? Like, how is that even a thing, right? Um, oh, but if you worked a job and you had health insurance, or a normal job, if you weren't an entrepreneur, then you would have health insurance through the company, and then you could have your kid for a lot less, but only if you go that route. If you want to get health insurance yourself personally, it's going to cost a lot more money, and you're going to get a lot less for what you pay for. Who made that system up? Why is that the way that it is? You know what I mean? And
Stupid.
it's like actively against. So you have to fight these systems constantly in your life, and not allow them to fuck with your excitement, happiness, and perspective. I can't
Right.
let all of that shit ruin my excitement for having my son.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or a worry that, oh, this or that. It's not really as important in the scheme of things. And it goes away with decades and with time anyway. I've
Sure.
realized
Sure.
that. So I think personally it's just when someone decides to go work a job. At least in the past, it was like you're trading your time for money. That was a good transaction, and they kind of didn't ask anything of you when you went home. It was just like a clean cut. You traded your time for money, and that's it. And you made me more money. That's great. I can give you more money when I make more money. And then it kind of shifted over to you need to work this job for your health insurance. You need to work these hours for enough money because the cost of goods and cost of rent and everything's gone up. And now you just have a whole group of people that are so stuck in that they can't imagine a life without it. And that's why they want the system to burn. And you
Yeah.
ask all the older generation that looks at the younger generation and goes, how can you be so anarchistic? And at the same time, it's like, how could you not be when your whole development in the system has been that
Right.
experience? It's never been
You're in the
anything but that
matrix.
experience.
You're in the matrix. You've had that programming going for a long, long time, and it's like,
Yeah.
we know how much grandma makes. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's like,
What's that
wow,
phrase that
I've
you keep
gotten
saying, Robert? The phrase where, well, we've been doing this all this time, or
yeah,
this is the way that it's
It's always been done this way.
the
Yeah.
worst, the worst phrase that's ever been quoted is this is the way it's always done.
Yeah.
This is the way it is. This is the way it's always done. And it's like I get statements every year for I've showed them on podcasts is what I can expect to make, at the age of 65 and or 63, 65, 67. And to actually think that if I decided to take Social Security and then I get on Medicare and then I get on all that neat stuff that I'm supposed to figure out how to live on $2,700 a month. It's like
Yeah, thanks for paying your whole life. This is your reward.
wow.
Oh, by the way, younger generation, go ahead and do the same thing, except
Yeah.
you're not going to get to see it at all. And you ask
Probably
what
not.
why people are so upset. It's like
Yeah.
insane. The older I get, the more I hate taxes, but then it's because of where they're going, not necessarily the fact that I'm being taxed. It's just
Yeah,
more that
it's really, really
everything I said about having our first child, that should just be the government should be paying for us to have children. Why? And you might
Hmm.
be like, that's dumb. If the
not in
government
Hungary.
doesn't,
Not in
yeah,
Hungary.
if they don't get their population to have more children, where do you think the tax paying money in the country survives off of? There's
Yeah.
no future involved for the country if you make it hard for people to live and have children. If that's the case, your country's
Laszlo,
gonna die. Like
yeah,
it's over for you.
Oh,
my
Or
friends, my
bet on
friends, and
immigration. That's
yeah,
what you offer.
my friends and leaders that I have that work with me in Hungary and Romania, they get paid to have children.
Yeah, I mean a lot
Think
of
about that. It's like,
a lot of
what?
countries, including like Japan and stuff, that are having lower birth rates now, and Korea are incentivizing young people to have children en masse, even paying them to do it because they're fully aware that with time, without having a new group of young workers, that the economy dies.
Yeah.
That's
and on
the
that
thing.
same note, there's been things proposed or brought out about other countries, even in the U.S. Sometimes I've heard a little bit about this, where you invite other immigrants in, and some people are not thinking about how much of an income, if you bring those people in, that adds to our economy. And a lot of people are having a problem with the immigration issue, but a lot of people are being short sighted in that those immigrants, if they come and they work here, they are paid. The taxes are pulled out from their account, but they still do not have access to, let's say, a Social Security or anything like that. They're still contributing to the economy. And
And there's always going to be
there's so
a
much.
group of people like my brothers that game the system. You know
Yes.
what I mean? It's like if they got a job, they're if they got a good job, their income would go down of how much governmental assistance they get. It's
Oh,
like
yeah.
it just depends on the groups that you hang around, and it's like it's sort of funny. Terry and I love watching Judge Judy because she just goes off on people, and some people might think that's bad, but it's like she's going, I don't understand. She was telling this lady, I don't understand how you can possibly afford rent. You say you don't have a job. And she says, well, I get renter's assistance. And she goes, how big is your house? And she goes, well, it's 2,800 square feet. How many bedrooms? 3. What do you pay? $250. And the government pays the rest of it? Yes. She goes, you mean me?
Yeah.
It's like,
No, that's the biggest fucking illusion that people have, and I hope that people wake up to it. I remember, and I've had, my mom has said this, you've said this, Dad,
yeah,
my grandparents, and I've heard it a lot in my life. You mean my tax money? It's like the direction that you should be pointing at is not, oh, you're taking my money. You should be pointing in the direction of the government and going, why the fuck
totally. Yeah,
is
and
this
people are
happening with
finding,
my money?
well,
But they
Yeah.
point at that person and go, why are you taking advantage of the systems?
right. I
It's not
totally
And
their
this is
agree.
where
fault.
the oversight should
You know?
be is, not just blanket cut, 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 cut. You got to take a look at it in a responsible manner,
Yeah,
and say, okay, is there a reason why we do have this agency helping these people around the world, and how are they helping? How is it helping? Is there waste? Yes. Is there waste in the in the armed services? Is there waste in everything? Yes, you can always find waste, but it's
yeah,
a matter of how you control it, and in the overview of it, in the review of it, how is it benefiting us as a society?
right.
Well, it's interesting because I appreciate you calling it waste, but it's fraud. It's not waste.
Well,
Like, you know what I
right,
mean?
yeah.
Like the level of fraud that exists is so severe, and we all were aware of it, that it's now we're kind of in that place where I I think, and this is just me being young and not being
No,
in love
you're
with the American system
you're
necessarily, because I
allowed
wasn't raised in the
you're
pinnacle of
allowed to
it.
have free speech, your ideas, your feelings and opinions.
As
Yeah, and
long as
if
it's
people
mine.
right.
Joking, joking.
Well, I think a lot of people are that way, but you have to
Yeah.
understand that like everyone thinks differently than you, and I don't have a problem with anyone disagreeing with me, but I also at the same time look at all of these convoluted systems that exist, and when people, even Craig, like when you're saying you got to be fine with them, like a fine-tooth comb. I think we need to demolish these systems and come up with something better. They don't work.
Well, I
That's
like
the
what
issue.
Matt
So it's
said.
like
Matt has
we should
said
take
this.
rid of a system, get rid of a system completely, reintroduce a system that works better immediately to take over its place. Don't get rid of something and then leave nothing
Yeah.
there.
That's the
That's not
issue.
smart.
Right. And
Exactly.
that's what we've been
The
experiencing a lot lately.
Yeah.
if
Right.
you if you worked around people that create massive stuff, me with Roger Penske, um, it is very, very difficult to hang around an individual that when something doesn't work, you trash the whole thing. He was like, he's like, the thing that made this fail is not for me to figure out what made it fail, because it could be millions of things.
Mm.
So we need to scrap this. And he wouldn't even keep the same number. So every chassis, every car had a number. And if we created car 14 and car 14 couldn't be driven and it couldn't get to speed, the car, the chassis, the motor, everything's trashed. Craig, we would have a motor, and if the motor blew up, they would dissect it to find out what was the weakest point that broke.
Mm-hmm.
We would go through the shop and throw away millions of dollars of that part and that batch. And so to see someone like that and then see their success and results later, you cannot, I repeat, you cannot say that is fucking stupid. But I'm
No.
like Matt. It's like all the stuff that's temporarily happening in the world, including our government, they're just months, if not a year ahead of AI that's going to tell them the right way to do it anyway.
Yeah, but I guess what I'm saying, Robert and Matt, is you don't throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Right.
You know what you're saying.
My mentors would.
Yeah, well, to a point. If you think about it, you said car
They
14.
just get a new baby.
You don't hack. You don't completely
Takes a
shut
while.
down your entire organization. You take whatever the issue was, and you look at it and you take it apart, and then you put it back together. So car 14 was the problem, but car 71 wasn't.
Yeah,
So we know
but
that
he
car
would go
71,
back.
car 3, car 8
Yeah.
were fine. Why did car 14 have a problem? And why did the engine blow up? That
Right.
is, it's not throwing out the baby with the bathwater. It's taking care of, okay, hey, the water's hot. We're not going to throw out the baby with it. We're going to okay, what can we do to cool down the water so we can see why the water went hot?
See, that's one thought. You and I don't have to agree. That's one thought. The other thought is, what was the original thing that we were trying to accomplish? Let's go back to the original thought within the substance. Let's go back to the original thought and not take anything from that car. And just go back all the way to the basics and go, what are we trying to do? We're trying to get a car that not only qualifies, number one, there's prestige in that, but also to have that car and that chassis win the world championship. And
Right.
so what he would do his best to get all of us to do is not to bring any ideas from the old car and structure into the new one, because it didn't get the right result. So he would challenge us. Let's start fresh. Let's start new. What are we trying to accomplish? And maybe, Craig, you and I, because of the different thinking, is like we're thinking about what our government's doing. Like, do you think that the Department of Education can be repaired?
Me personally, yes.
Yeah, me, no fucking way. You can't put a department together and be the worst in the world and bring anything from that.
No, but you can't. But repairing also means taking what you've got, and instead of literally destroying it and other people's lives, is you stop what you're doing, and you literally say, okay, we need to change things. We need to say, okay, this is not effective, and this is where
like immigration.
Like immigration.
Let's just keep pushing the can down the road.
No, I'm not
saying
saying
we're going to
that.
find the bad things that are not working, and then you get all the people together and they go, well, I think it's this, and a person goes, I think it's this, and I think this, and I think it this. So now you got a million chiefs or Indians in the house. That's probably racist, but it's too many chiefs, not enough Indians. And now what you do is you all just decide that everyone's not going to agree, so we're just not going to do anything with it.
Right, but again, all right, you don't cut off your nose to spite your face either. You work. You even said it a little while ago, Robert. Build it up, get it to where you can so that it can take over, not completely gut it and disregard what it's been able to do.
Wouldn't you agree that what you and I are talking about, Craig, right now is the biggest debate that's going on in this country?
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, exactly. And we're witnessing it.
Yeah.
Right
So you
now.
see someone like Elon Musk, and he's going, those rocket self-destructs. We're not using anything from that rocket.
But he builds from that.
But nothing in the new rocket's the same as the old rocket.
But he's taken what he's built from that, used
like the
it
light
so
bulb,
that he can,
like the light
What?
bulb.
Yeah.
I get that. I found out 10,000 ways that it didn't work.
It didn't work, right?
But the 10,000 ways didn't work. It gives you
Okay.
to a better thought pattern of what would work.
I agree with that.
But I can guarantee you, and where I grew up around, you're not fixing nothing. It comes from a different place, Craig.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of thinking about fixing shit that doesn't work, why not just go to the place of a new creation?
Right.
Start at the bottom. We want our kids to be number one in the world as far as education. That's where we want to be.
Yeah.
We want our children to be able to read and write.
Yep.
We want our children to be have a bright future. All right? Is that the goal, everybody? Yeah. Current thing, not working.
Mm-hmm.
What needs to be fixed? Everything. So we're keeping the chassis.
No.
See, there's where the confusion, I think, of everybody is. Because with all of us being unique, like the book says, there's people that go, yeah, but you don't want to get rid of this thing because I like that thing. And then you got a person right across from them that goes, that is the number one thing that I'd fucking destroy, is that one thing. Like the system within the system has got this deal where I believe in every system, even the systems that I was involved in. I don't know why people keep doing systems that don't reward the people that are the most generous.
Mm-hmm.
It's just you get a new person in, they're brand new, they just got sworn in as a new congressman, a new senator, and they're like, listen, I'm tired of the shit I've seen. I'm going to step in and I'm going to make a difference. And the rest of them go, you are a fucking idiot. We're going to do everything in our power to make sure you don't. Step in line, do what we fucking tell you to do. If you don't, we're not voting for anything for your state.
Right. Well, I'm
So
not
you're just not going to get, you're just not going to get reelected.
Yeah.
So just get in line, shut your face. A lot of people come in here with new ideas.
No, and I understand. It's the system. What is it? Squashing the creativity. And that's what it is. And I'm not saying that the system doesn't need to be overhauled or to be changed. It just, with the way that people move, and again, I'm not trying to say keep it until it runs dry or it dies. I'm saying work with it, build from it, and create the new from that. But the problem is people are not that way.
They're
not. We're not thinking that way. We're not taking the A plus B plus C equals U formula into something new.
Yeah.
And we're just cutting it off.
You could have them remodel the whole entire education system tonight, and it still wouldn't solve the education problems with the United States at all. There's no catching up at this point. Like with certain other elements, we've already made the critical mistake as a country, and there's no getting out of it. The long-term repercussions of the damage that we've done to the younger generations and how we've educated them is going to make the United States less of a superpower moving forward. And that was a decision that we made collectively as a country to do. Changing it now isn't going to affect anything. Artificial intelligence is right around the corner. That's the solution to the problem you guys are talking about, not rebuilding the education system. There should be no education system. Artificial intelligence is better at educating than anything. So that would be the next step. So any education system that doesn't ingrain artificial intelligence as a tutor into it automatically is going to be left behind in the next year.
Agree.
If the American system doesn't do that, which I don't think that they will, then they will fall behind. But
it's a matter of accepting what you're saying, Matt. We have to accept that this is the inevitable that is taking place right now.
Yeah, and the United States can't do that because of the money aspect. So you have the Department of Education.
Because of the way that you have a right and left system that's not willing to look center.
Well, it's all just money. That system is just there to keep us talking about it. It's not.
You're so right, Matt. One of the things that I think is really neat is there was a couple of guys, and again, you don't know what you can believe on the internet.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I thought was really hilarious is all the people, regardless of who they are, what party they are, all of them have been asked in interviews is, do you think that there's corruption in our government?
Are there humans in it?
Yeah.
Then
There
And
yes.
is.
and it's funny because everyone that's now saying, "Hey, I don't want to get rid of the fraud." Wait, we got 13 video clips of you saying that you wish that would happen. That's
Yeah,
crazy right there. That
let's talk
everyone
about the politicians and what their response to it is instead of talking about the problem itself. That's always the
I
best
know.
outcome.
And
Mhm.
It's so interesting to me because it's like it's so consistent that the message starts to like lose, at least for me, lose some of its grandeur because every single time it gets brought to my plate again, I don't want to have the same fucking meal over and over and over
yeah,
again. So when they
Right.
bring it to me and go, "Oh no, like we need to fix the Department of Education." I'm like, not only have you been saying that for a really long time that that's an issue and we've known where our children's education is, but there's been active shit against doing that for such a long time and making it any better that you'd have to have an incentive to make the population dumber on purpose
yeah,
to do what you did because the other options on the other side of the table, especially when you're in the fastest, strongest growing economy on planet Earth, that all the solutions and the intelligent people are there to make the solutions happen. You just have to
Yes.
make the decision to actively not do it, and that's where we're at.
that's
And
where
so
we're
I
at.
now we're
agree.
facing
I
the
totally agree.
repercussions of
That
actively making decisions to not do things in the United States. And now, since there's other countries and there's other places in the world that have invested into actively doing what they believe is the next step, going back to the Jensen Hung NVIDIA stuff, betting on what's next,
yeah,
that's going to pay off for them. And there's a reason why when they go, we need to stop immigration or we need to slow it down, but not the H-1 visas. There's a reason they say that because we cannot hire American workers to build artificial intelligence systems. We do not have the educated workforce to move us into the next version and not be dominated by China if we do not have an influx of workers from China and India and from Asia into the United States to build these systems. Who do you think built them in the first place?
right.
Hmm.
So the unfortunate part is everyone
And
wants to be so
you're not getting those
anti-immigration.
people. You're not getting those people from the when Matt was young and Kyle every once in a while comes up with this. They used to keep telling me all the time, well, listen, the best countries to live in are these countries. Uh, Finland and Norway and Sweden,
Denmark,
Denmark and Switzerland.
mhm,
And I'm going, yeah,
like
but
per capita
yeah,
happiness.
yeah, but the tech people are not coming from there. They're too happy.
Well, yeah, you have to
It's
listen.
like
If you're in a
there's
lot
no
of pain, you'll
emphasis.
figure out a
Yeah,
way.
there's no
Yeah.
emphasis on, Val Victorian in those countries. It's about lifestyle. It's about family. It's about community. It's like it is neat to see
Well, we're going
countries
to move
that
back to
have,
that because those are distinctly human needs. Those aren't
yeah,
going anywhere.
Hmm.
The rate and the way that things work currently in modern times, especially in the United States, is, in my opinion, by design. And that's why I said you have to actively turn a blind eye to not fixing the problem when you have so much money and so much opportunity to do it to not fix it. So I just don't
yeah.
believe people when they say we're going to fix it. It's
I
not going to
don't,
Well, and
happen.
I think
I,
that comes
I
with the
don't
fact that
either.
the promises were not kept too. The people keep like in the case of the
Yeah.
politicians, they say, "Oh yeah, we're going to do this on day one."
Well, let's
Where
take
are
it
we?
one step. Let's take it one step further, Craig. This is a very,
Right.
very passionate conversation here. The politicians wouldn't be corrupt if there wasn't companies that was paying them.
Absolutely.
Let's just take one more step. It's like, so if there wasn't lobbyists and there wasn't these companies that have billions of dollars, I heard something the other day that, again, I heard it, following people on the internet, on X. So I don't put any grain of salt with it. But it was something that I remembered that immediately, that when I found out why things weren't going that way, it was because someone was paying them. You know what I mean? I was going like,
And it
I never, I never fucking seen that. I never.
Guys, it would blow your mind. And this is just the way that it is. You could ask GPT about it. It would blow your mind the bills and things that have been voted down that would have helped the next generation succeed and
Oh
make the
yeah.
United States a massive superpower, even more than it already is. But these education bills, these funding bills were voted down, and they were voted down because somebody gave this person $80,000, you guys. They ruined the whole entire
Absolutely.
education of the United States for 80 grand. They sold
It is
all of the
greed.
generation out for 80 fucking grand. It's not a lot of
Yeah.
money. It's not millions. We're not talking Nancy
Yeah.
Pelosi numbers here. We're
No.
talking we're talking lowball numbers. And that's not a lot of that might not sound like a lot, and for some people it might
Right.
sound like a lot, but for them it's not a lot. It's just
Right.
insane.
Well,
So,
Yeah.
it's the reason that I brought up that comedian that said the joke. I mean, said the comment about I found some bad things on your phone, so then the other person gets blamed for it. That
mhm.
is the reason that I brought it up, because it is the very thing that we see happening. It's like someone was saying, and she even said the same thing. She goes, "Now I know what a certain group of people are saying. Can you imagine how the conversation goes if the person said, I found this very disturbing picture on your phone of you chatting with another person, and here was your response, but it's just such a small part compared to other people."
Right.
She goes, there's politicians out there right now that say the fraud that's found in USAID, it's so small compared to the rest of the
How
fraud.
could we even do a podcast right now when what's happening in Gaza? Like there's just I don't even know
Right.
why we're on here.
Yeah.
No, that's the type of stuff that those dodgy arguments, like
Yeah, it's
instead of
like
having
well,
conversations.
I think what happens, Matt, is you're right on the money. It's like you got to switch the subject because you know you're in trouble.
Yeah.
You found some stuff on my phone that's not good stuff. So I mentally have to get where we're talking about being creative, right? That's
Yeah.
the whole thing is now you got to come into a creativity of a mindset that, oh my God, how can I spin this?
Well, that right there
That's where
is
we're going. That's
gaslighting.
where we are.
That's it. Now
That's
you've nailed what it is. It
exactly.
basically be like getting the person to question their own validity
Beliefs.
of their thoughts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like
okay.
if
Now
yeah,
I
so
now I
oh, you
understand
might have saw that
gaslighting
stuff
better.
on my phone, but it meant this, and getting them to
Right.
believe that it meant that, and the fiber of their being would be
Yeah.
gaslighting when
Matt,
it wasn't that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
you said something too that I think that we could probably end the podcast on. Is sometimes I think that everyone, including me, just sometimes really, really gets let down that we are talking about human beings.
Yeah.
And you can
That
go
we're all
back
flawed.
into history and history and history. Kyle got us, Terry and I, to watch the Vikings. So
Hell of a show.
we're going through all these stuff of the Vikings, right? And so the Vikings in this season, I think three or whatever, they're attacking Paris, right? And I said to Terry, I go, that happened in 800. The church that they're having the service in was built in 500. It's still in Paris. And mom, your mom looked at me and went, Terry looked at me and went, really? And I said, the
There's always
thing,
this joke that like in the United States we build all of our houses out of wood, right?
yeah,
Like mostly.
Hmm.
And so it would take nature like a decade and you wouldn't even know a lot of people lived in the United States because it would just
right,
reclaim all of that stuff.
right,
And it's funny because in those places in Europe, right, everything's made of brick, right, to
yeah.
maintain heat and do all these things. Anyway,
And
that's why these still
the
stand there, right? Like,
craftsmanship. You
Oh,
look
it's
at it,
incredible.
with them just redoing Notre Dame, it's just,
oh yeah.
yeah, it's just so fascinating. But the point that I was sharing with her is I was going like, sometimes I like researching. I tell people to research. So I'm watching the Vikings and I go, did the Vikings really, honestly, go and try to take over Paris? Yeah, a couple of times. And they succeeded. And I'm just like going, so then the Viking is actually using the name of the commander that was stopping the Vikings from doing it. And I'm going like, wow, this is really interesting. Well, then when you see the way they present religion back then, that is the spookiest shit in the world because it's like, wait, I believe in my God, you believe in another God. So
If you wanted to be, yeah, if
you
you
know what
wanted to
that
be
allows
real.
me to do? You know what that allows me to do is take your shit and kill you.
Right.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Is like it's funny because it's all justification anyway.
Yeah, it's
You
like,
going back to the human element of it, it doesn't matter what you believe in as long as you're justifying what you're doing with it. That's the whole.
yeah. And so the
Yeah.
episode, without throwing it away, is for those that didn't watch it, I don't want to ruin it for you, but there's an individual that the king is giving a lot of attention to, and it's a new character. So the character that's been around there forever, it's just nothing but jealousy. He ruins his whole entire life, because he now sees the king talking to this new exciting person that has different knowledge because he came from Europe. He's from the Vikings, and he's going, well, tell me a little bit about this God. And I'd like to know more about it because the king wants to know about this information. So now he's taking interest in this new guy, and the other guy totally destroys his whole life. And if you watch it, I don't want to ruin it, but there's no way that this guy could have ruined his life more. And it was all because the king was spending time with somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
That's human nature down to the ugliest core, that we feel unworthy, undeserved. We don't feel like we're enough because we don't know how to do as Churchill said. It's like, it's amazing what we can do in life if no one wants the credit. But that's not the way the world is. So watching this old time stuff that you always seen, because Matt and I and our families always watch future stuff. You look at Game of Thrones and stuff like that, but this is sit there and watch all these kings that have castles and land next to each other, and all they want to do is fuck each other out of the other person's kingdom. That's like, and
Nothing's changed.
the lies, the deceitfulness, the stuff that they do.
I mean, aren't we making Canada a state? Isn't that the
That's
plan?
right.
I thought
That's
it was
what I
Mexico.
that's what I heard.
I think
thought
it's
it was-
both.
I thought it was Mexico.
Well,
Yeah.
and
Well,
Puerto
it's funny
Rico,
because
too.
the moment
Wasn't
that,
it Greenland?
well, in general,
No,
I
we
was
got to
like,
talk to Greenland, but
all
the
of them.
first
No,
one
no,
was
no. Wait a
definitely-
minute. It's a new resort. It's now
Gaza.
Gaza compared to Dubai, right? It's like
Yeah, we're gonna transform Gaza.
the
That'll
new
be
French Riviera.
the Caribbean Riviera.
Right.
What a
No,
great-
the Mediterranean Riviera.
Oh
That's
my God.
I
So
think
yeah,
that's a good spot to end it on, though. It's
It
funny.
is. It is. It's like your ego, the new guy comes in. So that's the way I look at politics, is that, the new people that come from a place of servanthood that are tired the way status quo is going and the corruption's going. And so they get to step in to be the new people, and all the egos that already got everything going. It's like, wait a minute, man. The gravy train's about ready to disappear.
Yeah, all you gotta do, guys, is open up ChatGPT and have a conversation about how the French and American revolutions happened, and then look at now, and you'll see like the similarities between young people being dissatisfied with the government, being dissatisfied with what they're getting from the government, what it's taking from them. That
Yep.
concern is only gonna grow with artificial intelligence. So like I think it'll be interesting to see, but I'm also very optimistic that I'm one of those optimistic people that thinks I'm gonna retrain all these people, and they're gonna knock all the older people out of their jobs.
Yeah.
So that's my goal.
introduce-
My goal is like they all feel like they're stuck.
My goal's the
because-
same. My
it's
goal's
like, nope.
exactly the same. Is my
Out
goal
with the
my
old and
whole
with the new.
life. My goal my whole life is to do what my mentors did to me, and they got me to think and get excited and get plugged into imagination of what my life could be. And when
Beautiful.
and when you're focused on doing things to better you and your family and other people that you can help, all the stuff that we talked about a little bit on this podcast, you don't have time.
Yeah, I don't really think about it. When I get
You,
off of
you, you
this,
really you really don't have time
uh-huh.
to figure out what the hell they're doing or how it's happening or what it's going to be. I know people don't believe this, but this is where I'd like to end with the last word is I think that you are very naive if you think what's happening in the world is affecting me and my family. When you actually can think with your mind and your heart, with your feelings, and go, Robert, are you just going to sit around and allow this shit to happen? It's not my circus. It's not my monkeys.
Yeah, also, what can I do about it? Like,
Mhm.
It's not. I used to be a very miserable individual in the world because I thought that I could control things. Now I just do my very best, and I mean my best, I'm not perfect, to control my reaction to it, my emotions to it. And it's fun talking to my youngest son, Kyle, because he's like monkish, and he never ever gets involved in any of that stuff. He doesn't know what's going on, and he doesn't care what's going on. And people are going like, "Yeah, but how is that?" Well, my first response to all of you that think that way is how is your way working? How is your way working? Can you tell me some significance that you made in another human being's life, including your own, because you're focusing on shit that you can't control? Yeah, that's my
that's
deal.
a perfect way to
That's
end it.
it.
I love
That's
what you
it.
said.
Right there.
So,
Enough said.
thank you guys so much. This is fun as
Oh my
always.
gosh.
Yeah,
Yes.
let's
Great
let's let's call it.
conversation.
You guys got any words? We can go.
No, I mean,
No.
tomorrow's the AMA. I plan, hopefully I don't bail on it. I plan on doing an AI stream tomorrow at 3, talking about a
Okay.
bunch of this stuff
Cool.
on my Matt Hollis channel on YouTube. So if you want to go on there, I'm going to see if they're going to let me do it, but I was actually going to duo stream it to X as well and see how that works. So,
Hey, I'm going to
Why
be.
not?
I thought I couldn't do it until I get to 1,000 people. So if you're,
oh, really?
I
I'm going to
Give
try
it
don't
a
it after
try. What the
this.
me.
heck, Matt? I
I'm
mean, at least
telling you
find
not to
out.
listen to me.
I was like, okay, I'll have a talk with
Well,
GPT, but
you'll
no,
know
close it up.
obviously if you
Keep
yeah,
Okay,
you'll know if it doesn't work because it won't work.
right. I'm still
I
trying to
won't
figure
say
out.
anything if it doesn't work, and if it does, I'll see it. I'll say, "Ha ha, see it worked."
Yeah,
Told you
that
so.
I'm getting off of here and trying to do a live right now to
I
beat you.
know.
Oh, look out, look out,
That's
look out.
funny.
So we'll
Well,
see you on
thank
the
you so
AMA tomorrow.
Yep.
Craig, close
Love
it
and
out.
appreciate you guys.
Yep.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Craig. Thanks,
AMA,
Ted.
by the way, Ask Me Anything with Robert Hollis tomorrow at noon Pacific on the Robert Hollis YouTube channel at Robert Hollis. Please join us. That's where you're watching us today, hopefully, unless it was being shared. But that's where you can go. Tomorrow, again, Saturday, February 15th, starting at noon Pacific, 3 Eastern. You can follow Robert Hollis at roberthollis.com. Also, if you'd like to join our exclusive community by going to roberthollis.com/video and then subscribe to that YouTube channel that we are connecting to. There it is, exactly. We've built our over 100,000. We want to keep it growing because we love to have you contribute, hear what we have to say, and just take it into consideration. So thank you. Lots of great content there. You'll be able to participate in our special events that'll help you move along to the next level. Please don't forget to like and share this video on YouTube and on other platforms with others. It'll help us grow our community and to reach out to those with ears that hear. Thank you, and shout out to our executive producer, Matt Hollis. Matt, bless you, my friend. Thank you so very much. And of course, Robert, amazing. This was an incredible podcast for today. Our unlimited wisdom, sharing our thoughts with each other and with each and every one of you.
This is
So until next time,
great podcast.
yes. Until next time, please be good to yourselves. Be cash. Bye bye. I'm Craig A. Jackman. Thank you again for joining us. Matt, Robert. Awesome.
Love you, Craig.
Love you
Love you.
guys.